fan talk and prediction. Vlog about this week's. Um, we're vlogging about this week's Raw, SmackDown results, and we're also going to talk about the predictions for probably Clash at Paris today. So let me get into it. Um, Funny thing, I didn't get a chance to rewatch too many times of Raw and SmackDown what the news had happened. I did see for the biggest headlines. I know I did put a short for there more so. Sami Zayn winning the United States. Um, Ultimately, congratulations, Sami Zayn. I think one of me and my close collaborators were talking about how it kind of took steam off of Jacob, but it was like maybe they're probably saving Jacob for a bigger role, a bigger part more so, and just wanting to gain him, just being in the storyline, but just not having that much. I don't know really what was. Didn't hear any backstage sequences of him getting in any trouble more so. For me, I just haven't seen him on television, or I remember this whole thing was focused on him and Solo. So when Solo finally took the belt off of him, I'm like, okay, well, that's one soft way of doing it. But you ended up putting the United States title on Sami Zayn, which kind of worked itself out because Sami did help the Intercontinental Championship when he won it from Gunther last year. So it kind of like gives maybe somebody a lure, a pop, per se. But at this aspect and asterisk, there's really not too much to really go on about. Besides that, there's really not too sure what they're going to do with Jacob. Probably have him inside the War Games aspect. I was reading from I think a tweet more so from Dominic Mysterio earlier that they should probably bring back the traditional Survivor Series matchups. I think I was talking to somebody a little correspondingly earlier, probably like last week or so. But that is one particular used to seeing at Survivor Series. So I kind of would love to see the traditional Survivor Series matchup being implicated back into the Survivor Series standing. So even if we do have I'm glad. Thank you. I'm glad you subscribed. Even if we do have the Bloodline, or even if we have, I'm sorry, for the traditional Survivor Series matchup, we have Raw versus SmackDown versus NXT. Because I mean, NXT has been building up for quite some time, especially because of their TNA deal and their partnership. I'm going to say that they've been working out with. I'm loving the cross promotion between Trick Williams and the promotion itself. I really do hope that we could probably see maybe because we saw Joe Henry at WrestleMania, so maybe we could probably see some more big stars. I know we're going to see. What's going on, Zane? I know we're going to probably see Moose versus Obafemi at some point. Hey, thank you for subscribing. We are going to see Moose versus Obafemi. That is one big powerhouse of a matchup. I know Moose is somewhat of a powerhouse, but I know Oba definitely is. So I'm loving to see where the trajectory of the NXT more so is promotion and his matches are really getting up there. Hoping to see more live talent come to the stage, the platform more. I do think sometimes with them cross branding and having some major stars appear on there or just even being on there for some weeks segments at a time, I do feel like it does help the exposure more so for NXT. So I am loving the trajectory of where they are going at this timeline, but still more to be seen. Probably, like I said, seeing more stars bursting onto the scene. Again, love seeing these new young guns come out. Even though we didn't see Jacob on NXT, we never saw certain superstars back on NXT. No, not Alistair. Alistair Black was on NXT. I want to say for about 2 to 5 years, but up to that time frame, like he did show a high promising career. Now I don't really know where it's going at with him and Damian at this point, as far as like the rivalry that's going on currently now. We thought it was going to be him and Truth, but I guess they had to flip the script and get Damian involved somehow, especially with him being attacked. So it did bring a little bit element to the storyline. The other part of the build-up, because all this is going to be leading up to the Clash at Paris, the pay-per-view tonight, was the ability for them to, I wouldn't say, sorry, I wouldn't say not hijack, but to basically, oh man, on the fly, work on the fly with getting Jey Uso, LA Knight, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. I feel like that had a bustable element for a fatal four-way to be top-notch because if anybody had rewatched many of this year's passing, all of the best matchups were the triple threat matchups. There wasn't a single bout that kind of like, pardon me, there wasn't a single bout or a singles matchup that really kind of like stood out. Like we knew we had Cody. We knew we had Cody and Cena for the passing of the torch. Give me a second, guys. We had Cena and Cody for the passing of the torch, so it was that matchup. But we do kind of got to see other mantles at some point. I'm trying to see what they're going to figure out what they're going to be doing with Roman at this point because I don't know if you're going to have him in a major title picture. I have a feeling that they're going to climb to that. Maybe so after Survivor Series, probably maybe a little bit more pay-per-view in between from Survivor Series till now, because I think it's Survivor Series, if I'm not mistaken, it's always in November. So we have September, October, so we have 2 months, which at that point we are going to see definitely a new take and everything. I'm going to try to start diluting and getting more information, more so to say, on critical points. But that is a highly interesting matchup. I have a feeling we are going to see the tag team of Rhea and Io. Maybe, and I'm going to say maybe in a fatal four-way matchup. I'm not going to say that's going to be the thing coming now. Maybe they might dilute the story and eliminate a lot of factors. Maybe Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez probably won't stay too long within the Judgment Day because there have been hints about there's been so many hints with them pushing out members and then bringing people in. So I don't know how long the Judgment Day faction is going to stay stable. I've said this probably in prior lives more so, rather on TikTok or here. So that is going to be the deciding factor once Liv Morgan does come back, where the story goes. Hopefully, it's on a dismantle tear. Maybe JD McDonough and Finn do their own thing. Maybe Roxanne Perez probably rides with them. And who knows? Like, at this point, Dom has been top notch of a hill that you couldn't even say that Finn has been running Judgment Day now at this point since they kicked Damian and Rhea out. Because that was not the rivalry. I'm not going to say the rivalry because the rivalry was obviously bloodline. So to that credibility of stint, I still feel that we'll still get maybe like more new factions. I feel like maybe, like I said, because there's a lot to do between the New Day, the Viking Raiders, there's still more tag teams preliminary that you still got to get through. Alpha Academy, I can't remember Chad Gable's group, when they formed and everything with Ivy Nile. So there's a lot of elements we haven't seen really on TV, but maybe they've probably been doing like other segments as well because they do have other you have other pillars to work off with. So like WWE Speed was also another thing they have on Wednesdays. I know NXT is the highly featured thing on Tuesdays. Monday Night Raw has always been the constant show, and so has Friday Night SmackDown. So there's definitely a lot of implication upgrading, maybe so into the rivalry aspect. So hopefully we do see much more. Hopefully we do see more talent used in different factions, different storylines. I do feel like on certain things you can create. Like they took off the Wyatt Six for a period of time when they were on Raw and kind of like made that rush all happen, but then you didn't see him for so long, and now you see him as tag team champion. So again, you also have that implication that certain talents that weren't used are going to get hidden off and written for a story later. Another huge development for me is like I don't know where they're going to go as far as like I haven't been the biggest. I was before she was the man. I was a fan of her and Bianca's rivalry throughout the year. So interested to see where that highly goes. As far as like the women's division, I feel like the women's division has been like on a tier. I feel like some women on certain nights, and especially on bigger pay-per-views, they have outperformed the men on some aspects. I'm not gonna say on every card, on every match they have, but some certain aspects they actually do keep up, and then their sequences, like they take a lot of bumps too. I'm not gonna lie. So that's the other ordeal on the agenda, that I feel like that could become more into a play, more into a factor. But maybe, like I said, we'll see more things going down the line, and hopefully we can get some more different interesting things. Again, because we are getting into the pay-per-view itself, I'm not going to stay too long on certain topics. So again, we had the most doubtedly it's going to be John Cena versus Logan Paul. Not too surprised. It's the parasite versus the polar figure. So you take it with it what you want, more so in this aspect. But for them to bring John Cena back as a face now, I am absolutely for it. Do I hope that we'll get more and more asterisk, or we'll get more and more appeal to John Cena being face? Because it was kind of cringeworthy seeing him as a heel, but we kind of like needed that. We kind of like needed that refresher. He's going finally, and always keep into remembers like once these talents are gone, there is no reset button for them, because once they're in retirement, they're in retirement. I hope, unlike how some people have done, like Ric Flair. Pardon me, guys. But yeah, unlike Ric Flair, I hope that it'll be the one and done match, because Cena has had the right to close his career out the way he does within that time frame. I know we're going to see people like Randy Orton disappear. I think RVD has been retired for a while now. Sheamus is probably going to approach that soon. I know Edge prematurely retired due to injury, so I don't know when initially he'll retire. Same thing with him and Christian. There's a few people that are from the Attitude Era that kind of like seamlessly still been around, but then kind of like never stayed around. So again, that is one of those aspects is where we're going to just probably hopefully see more and more, different fluid things come into play again. As going into the Clash of Paris pay-per-view itself, I didn't get a chance to see all the matches on the card. So, going to the main matchups that I know of, going into this pay-per-view tonight. I'm going to say Seth Rollins wins. I want to say outside help with Ron Breaker and Bronson Reed. I have a feeling it'll probably be coming down to, just for the sake of the story, they'll go ahead. They'll keep CM Punk involved in some way, somehow. But that's all you're going to have. Just to keep the storyline, just to keep anything going outside the spectrum. And then you might even get an appearance from Roman himself in this matchup, but he'll help Jay. And I really do feel like at some point in time, maybe we might get a one-on-one match between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. It might can happen. Because we've seen like the little teaser for when Punk finally had came back. And we never really got a chance to see them one-on-one. We seen hints of the rivalry, the brew. We seen them mix it up with Seth in the matchup. So that was the biggest box office match that you could have had at that point, especially since you didn't have them on the card. So I do feel maybe you will get the Roman Reigns, CM Punk in 2020, maybe 2025, maybe 2026. Who knows? You don't really know where the schedule is looming to as far as wrestlers' time and their contracts. So that is one. From make sure I got the right matchup, because I think is Lyra Valkyria. No, I'm sorry. It's Nikki Bella versus Becky Lynch. So just for the one-off, I'm going to go with Becky Lynch on this. I was never the Bella Twins fan. I just knew that they were on. There's no diss to them. It's just that they haven't grown the attraction for me to say, oh, well, this is why. And that's my own perspective more so. But I do feel like Nikki will lose this matchup. And it's just off of Becky Lynch probably doing the manhandle slam on probably off of a cheap move. I wouldn't be upset about it. I wouldn't be surprised about it. I believe next on this card, just for the sake of face, we're going to go to, I don't really know all the matchups on this card, so I will go with John Cena and Logan Paul. I will go with the franchise on this, which will be John. I don't see where Logan Paul should win and why he should win. So, and we're approaching the which I think his final match was in December. So I don't know why we would want to have Cena lose on his exit way out. So that's what I'm going off of with that one. And I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to touch on this because we also had a sneak preview when the Wyatt Six had trolled or more so promoted, their matchup of going up against their tag team opponent tonight, which were the Street Profits. And then we seen, RIP the Husky Harris, which is Bray Wyatt, his brother Bo Dallas, who had a little spot segment with the Street Profits on Friday night, showing them, just giving him a whip. I'm guessing he's saying that after y'all lose to the Wyatt Six, let's see if you're really brothers or not. I don't know what that was hinting at. I remember in years prior time, Montez and Dawkins probably wouldn't break up. I wouldn't see the reason why breaking the Street Profits up. They've been a highly prolific tag team. I don't know where, because I think we kind of seen like a short singles run with Montez and Dawkins separately. I didn't know if it translated well. It didn't sustain well because, of course, they're back in a tag team. And then we haven't seen them with Bobby Lashley about 2 years ago, and now we don't even see that faction being held at this point. So there is a lot to preliminate at this point, more so with certain tag teams and where the direction is going with a lot of people on the roster. So it's a lot to define, and I'm guessing because we're in a shake-up process, because once you get past Survivor Series, you got to start planning for the Rumble, planning for me. thing now has to make sense. Again, I don't know. I really do feel like the Y6 maybe could pull it out. I don't. Maybe because of numbers games, I'll go with that starting factor, but I don't see the reason to break off the Street Profit at this point. Sorry. Again, it's Bronson Reed versus Roman Reigns. I believe Roman can pull this off. I mean, Bronson Reed is just the shorter, bigger version of Braun Strowman, who used to give Roman fits. So I do believe that Roman will win this matchup. I believe he'll play a part in the Fatal Roy later on. And we might get see a different implication come in from the results of that. Again, I am going with Seth to retain the title. So, was already my first thought into continuation. I feel like they will drag that faction into the Survivor Series matchup, rather if it's going to be a War Games or a traditional whatsoever. I do feel like we will eventually see Roman and Seth cross paths again because of the faction, and because you have three superstars that are not the champion that's in this matchup. So is Jay. Of course, CM Punk has had heat with Rollins, and every time when Rollins and Seth are in the ring, it's always magic because you can just feel the heat. You can just see, that their work shows off of the hate that they're trying to deliver for each other. And it really does show. And I really do admire what they are. I really do admire what they're giving. So, again, I don't know, because at times I thought that Cody was going to defend the WWE Championship against Drew McIntyre, which I would have loved to see the Scottish Psychopath back into the fray, going for the title he should have won and carried throughout the time frame. Instead, he has to be dealing with Punk and everybody else. And then even going on to, I think it was not SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam, if I'm not mistaken, was him and Logan Paul against Jelly Roll and Orton. So I do feel like at some point we are going to get that. But I do feel like maybe we could get a Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes. I feel like that would be a nice shakeup to everything. And no lie, if I could see Drew win the title, at least let him keep the title to Mania. Fair one-off for more of my aspect. I'm only speaking from my aspect. However they have written the story, it's already written in the books. I can't change nothing. But I am hoping to see Drew with at least a title run on TV with fans in the crowd. I really feel like we have went past the 2020s and he has carried that in. I feel like he should be rewarded with a title picture on screen with fans to see. Again, if I probably missed up any other matchups, I'll probably go ahead and do maybe a little small segment later on. But again, guys, I really do appreciate it. Y'all listening to my wrestling tape. I'm gonna probably give another one before the night is over with. I'll probably be doing little shirts and more stuff in between. Again, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'll probably be posting more stuff as it goes on Thread, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, like I said. And then I'm also telling people more so in the near future that we will be having Twitch streaming. So be tuned in for that. Again, it's another platform we're going to be using. Again, I'd like to thank you guys for coming out. I'll probably be going live again later on, maybe dropping a little more content for you guys to enjoy for the rest of the day. Again, it is a busy Saturday. See where I'm at. So, again, I appreciate everybody that came out today. And I'll probably be live again either later today, tomorrow morning. Either way, appreciate you guys for coming out. Thank you. Have a good one.